This is Sophie Heller, and this is an ACT science question. The question asks, what types of weather observations are most accurate in determining when a warm front passage occurred? So the passage tells us that a warm front is simply just a front where warm air replaces cold air. And it's associated with a low pressure system and moves from south to north. And here's some things that usually affect it. So an increase in temperature, humidity, and that's shown in dew point changes, decrease in air pressure, wind changes, and the likelihood of precipitation. And this table is going to give some data for Boston, Atlanta, and Trenton. So let's see which things are most affected. So our first answer choice gives us temperature, which, as we saw, that an increase in temperature is the first thing mentioned in a warm front passage. And we see that's the case because Boston, it's cooler, and then once the warm front happens, the temperature spikes. So that's definitely going to be true. Wind direction. So we saw that wind direction was mentioned in the paragraph, and it also changes. So looking at Boston again, you can see that when it's really cool at 45, the wind is coming from the east, and the warm front comes from the warm south, and the direction of the wind changes from the south. And precipitation. So precipitation doesn't seem to affect it that much because, at least in Boston, everything is cloudy despite the change in temperature. And similarly, in Trenton, you see some rain here. The temperature hasn't changed. That's just a few minutes after this cloudy mark, and it doesn't seem to affect anything in Atlanta either. It's alternate. It's cloudy, then rainy, then cloudy. So precipitation isn't going to be a huge factor. So let's get rid of that. Choice 2. So choice 2 also mentions wind direction, still a factor. Dew point temperature, and dew point temperature is definitely a factor because we look at Boston again, we see it's in the 40s, and then it spikes at 62. So that's a factor, but that precipitation again doesn't really do anything. It stays constant, and we see in the passage that it's only the likelihood of precipitation. So it's not a real factor, so that's not good. Same thing here, we see precipitation again, so that's no good. So the only one that doesn't have precipitation is choice 4, and it talks about temperature, which we proved was true, wind direction, which we talked about, and dew point. So these things all increase. So choice 4 is the only right answer.